So this is the last lesson on our canvas. What I want to do is create a button, and this is then going to allow us to save whatever is in our canvas. So if you create a button, give it a type of button and a class of save, we're then going to have save as our button text. We don't need to worry too much about styling here. However, what we're going to do below is then bind a click event so that we can save our signature. So we can say const save equals document query selector and then go and grab our save button. We can then say save, add event listener. We want to just bind click event. Now for this, what we are going to do is use the HTML5 download attribute and append a hyperlink to our DOM. We can then click the hyperlink, which will then download our canvas drawing. Now before we do that, we want to learn how to read our canvas as a data URI. Thankfully, we have a nice function, canvas to data URL. We can then save this out. We can then start drawing. We can then press save, and we get a data URI of our canvas drawing to date. We can then click on the console, and you can see we now have this as an image. This is in fact base 64 coded, and I hope this gives you an example of how powerful Canvas can be. Now, instead of just simply logging this to the console, which is nice because we can then click and see the actual image, we can of course keep updating, press save, get a new image, and every single time we could drag this to our desktop if we wanted to, we get a new version of the image. So instead of just logging it out, we're going to create an A tag. So we can use document create element, create the A tag. Now if we say the href is then going to be our data URL, we can then set some inner text of our H tag to something like download, and then we want to take our app and append it to the DOM. Now the app is our base selector, so we have here document element by ID, which then gives us the base of our application. Now if I save this out, this is going to then allow us to draw. We can then click save, we then see download, and you can see in the bottom left, just above my DevTools, we have this base 64 data image. Now if I click it, this is going to give us a not allowed error. So what we need to do is use a set attribute call, and we're going to add a download attribute. Now this was added in HTML5, and I'm just going to call this the canvas drawing. Now, one thing I want to add here is whatever this string is, it's then going to create a download attribute with that particular value. So when we press save, we can then hover over and inspect. We can then see download equals canvas drawing. So when we then click download, whatever that value is going to be the name of the image once it's downloaded. We can then go ahead and click download. We then have canvas drawing.png. We can click, and we now have on the local machine a copy of our PNG image. So I hope this gives you a demonstration on HTML5 Canvas. I think this is a really nice piece of UI for us to then build out. We've looked at the ability to convert our images into data URLs. You could of course make this far more advanced. You could perhaps take a webcam feed and render it into the canvas. You could then press save and capture a screenshot as well. So I hope you enjoyed this chapter on some HTML5 Canvas. There is so much more that we could do with Canvas. It is a vast API. I hope this gives you some nice insight as to what we can do and go ahead and create with Canvas. From the top, we've looked at our context of 2D. We've looked at where the positioning of the canvas itself is, some initial configuration properties, our custom state object, some mouse down events, mouse move events, where we've then updated our state based on the client X and Y positions, the coordinates for where our mouse actually is. We then set our drawing to true or false based on whether we are mouse down or mouse up. We've also added the double click functionality to wipe our canvas and start afresh. We've then talked about the request animation frame. We've created a recursive function which invokes itself, and then our request animation frame then continuously calls our render function after our initial invocation when we then call it the first time. We've then looked at the HTML5, that download attribute, how to specify a name of the file, and I hope this gives you some good insight as to what you can achieve with Canvas in your websites and applications.